Hey gunfighters, God willing I will be in Norway soon. I asked for some help from the patrons and some episodes I thought would be good to broadcast again. So this is recycled content for all you environmentalists out there. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoy the content. There will be some new episodes sprinkled in throughout the next couple of weeks. Enjoy. What is going on, gunfighters? Today, what I consider one of the most important episodes of gunfighter life. A lot of thought and preparation and work and testing and evaluation has gone into this episode because I think it's important for you to have realistic, good, armed citizen training, concealed carry training, armed response to active violence training. Practical, not cost prohibitive, but effective. That's a hard balance to strike. That's a hard tightrope to walk. I'm not going to pretend that this course of fire is perfect, but with all the years of training and experience that I've had and all the things I've been exposed to in training and some really good training and experience and knowledge with armed encounters. After much thought and a testing and evaluation and feedback from the patrons and some tweaks here and there, I'm ready to record this. Now it's been quite a while in the making. You would know that to listen, but it's almost 10 p.m. where I am in Idaho. My wife is in bed and I'm out in the truck recording this. Again, because I think it's important. Now I'm going to plug in a bio because this may be an episode that you share. I assume if you're listening to this, you're a regular listener, but you may share it with some people. This may be one that you share or play or decide to adopt for a church security group or an armed response team, whatever it is. Or you just may want to share it with your buddies, your range buddies. And they should rightly ask, just like you should, hey, who's this dude? And why should I care what he has to say? That's a valid question. It's the reason I started the podcast. 'Cause I'm not just somebody on a blog or a YouTube channel with no practical experience. For that reason, I'm going to put in the bio. We will get into this armed citizen course of fire. First and foremost, I am a Christian. I don't apologize for that. God is number one in my life. I grew up hunting and fishing in the backwoods of the southeastern United States at a very early age. Some of my earliest memories are with firearms. I joined the Marine Corps at 17, did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. By God's grace, He got me through that safely. After that, I served as a instructor, an urban warfare instructor and a desert warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps. I also served with the L.A.P.D. both full-time as a sworn police officer and in some more specialized assignments, as well as serving in the U.S. Army, full-time and part-time National Guard. I've been a F.B.I. firearms instructor, still am an F.B.I. firearms instructor, have been for a lot of years. Also N.R.A. certified and some other three-letter government agency certified. I've been a private contractor for a three-letter government agency I won't specify. I've been the commander of a tactical team in a large metropolitan area. By God's grace, He got me through all that in one piece, not because I'm better, but because He chose to have grace and mercy on me. I've been a professional hunter and guide. Professionally hunted things like buffalo and elk. Not many people today can say they've done that, but I'm blessed to be able to say that I have. I've hunted everything from white-tailed deer on the East Coast to mule deer on the West Coast to gray squirrel on the East Coast to prairie dog on the West Coast and elk and bear and wolf and slain all manner of beast. A state rifle and pistol champion a few times over in a few different disciplines. Enough about me, guys. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and fingers for battle. Let's get into today's topic. Armed citizen training. Oh, for a lot of people, It can be daunting. Where do you start? If you need to take a concealed carry class, I don't know about every jurisdiction, but many of those jurisdictions, you're not really getting a lot of practical armed response training. You're getting a lot of legalities and safety, and that stuff's important. But are you ready for an armed, violent encounter? An armed, violent encounter is not like this stamped cookie cutter thing. Is it going to be two guys coming up behind you at an ATM? One pulls out a knife? Is it going to be active shooter at your church? Is it going to be workplace violence where you work? You never know. Heck, today is going to be a Hamas sleeper cell. Right? You don't know. You don't see the future. I can't see the future. And it's good to be armed. Jesus told his disciples, he who has no sword, let him sell his cloak and buy one. But how do you get realistic training? And I am not saying this is the only training you should ever get. Please seek hands-on, real-world, personal, professional training. But I wanted to put something together for you guys, for the audience, for the tribe. And again, share it. It's free to share. I want it to be good training. I don't want it to be a me too. I've got an LCP. I went to the range last year. I'm ready. No, this is not just a check the box thing. I have seen those kind of quals. Even a lot of police departments. I was a police officer. I was a cop. And I say this, being a cop is a hard job. But in general, cops are not gunfighters. Cops are administrators. Ask a cop honestly, unless they're on some kind of special tactical team, which I've been a part of too. But your average beat cop, which is a hard job, how much time do you spend pulling a trigger, and how much time do you spend behind a desk or behind a computer typing or writing reports? Right? It's not even close. There are a lot of police quals that once you make it through the academy, sadly, as long as you show up and kind of point your gun and halfway do the things and don't drop your gun, you're probably going to pass. This is not that kind of qual. This is not, again, just to check the box to make you feel good, pat you on the back. This is not a participation trophy, course of fire. This is realistic. Also, I didn't want it to be cost prohibitive. When I designed this qual, I thought, what can the average person do and afford and still be effective and have as far as infrastructure goes? And here's what you're going to need. Your normal carry setup, your normal range stuff like eyes and ears. I shouldn't have to say that, but like your eye protection, ear protection. Your normal carry setup. A box of ammo. A paper plate. A paper plate. I say again, a paper plate. I designed this qual to be shot on a paper plate.
A paper plate is a decent, not the best, but it's a decent target because it's about decent parameters for a good thoracic cavity shot on a human adversary.
Or something like it. Take your favorite silhouette target, classic B27, your F.B.I. bottle target, your B8, and get the appropriate size ring. Or take your silhouette target, highly technical, get a piece of string, tie a bowline knot or just some kind of loop knot in one end, put your marker in it, and make it 4.5 inches long to the center and draw a circle. Or take a paper plate and trace out the circle on, if you want a little bit more realistic and you have a target stand. But you literally can run this on a paper plate and a stick. Get some kind of stick. I don't care if it's just one of those cheap, what are they, 1 by 1.5 kind of target stand sticks. You just need one. Pound it into the ground with a rock or something. Literally, that's what you need. You could duct tape it on the back. You can staple it. And hopefully you have access to a 25-yard range. If you don't, you could run this. You'll see the notes when if you go through the things I'm going to give you, the resources I'm going to give you. But you could run it on like a 12.5 yard range and make it a 4-inch circle just for that one course. But a 25 yard range, your normal carry setup, a paper plate, and some way to hold it up. You're going to need a shot timer. Now, if you're a serious shooter, you should have a shot timer. However, the vast majority of you listening probably have a smartphone. If you have a smartphone, you can get a shot timer. You can download a shot timer for your smartphone. You need a shot timer. But again, I imagine if you are in the world of concealed carry, you probably have a smartphone as well. Follow the firearm safety rules, right? If you shoot yourself or somebody else you're not intending to, it's your fault, not my fault. Little PSA there. Okay, you're probably wondering, what is this course of fire? Man, this guy is long-winded today. All right, shooter ready. Stand by. If you guys are into serious training and competition shooting, you probably got your attention there. Stage 1, paper plate, 25 yards. No time limit. 5 in a row. 5 in a row. No time limit. This is the most important stage of the qual. If you cannot shoot good slow, you are not going to shoot good fast. This is the fundamentals. I would submit if you can't consistently get 5 in a row at 25 yards, you probably shouldn't be working on other things. You should be working on the fundamentals. Even a Glock should be able to hit a paper plate at 25 yards if you are up to it. Now, I'm not going to mention all of my standards that I normally have a standard for, but if you listen for any length of time, you probably know my accuracy standard. And it's, by God's grace and His blessing and the talents He's given me, far more stringent than this. And that's standing, pistol, unsupported, or offhand if you're hip with the competitive shooting vernacular. Standing, unsupported, 25 yards, 5 shots in a row, paper plate. It's got to be 5 in a row. If you miss, you got to start over. 5 in a row. Again, if you're struggling with this, you should focus on this one stage the next several times you go to the range. And how do you practice this dry fire? This is probably the core fundamental things you should be doing in dry fire. Whatever room you dry fire in, wherever you dry fire at, the smallest target that you can see generally, we're talking like a little circular sticky, those cheap stickers you can get at like a lot of the stores, Walmart, the price stickers that are bright colored, put that on a wall somewhere, and you focus on your sights, whether it's a optical sight or your front sight on your handgun, and you focus on it and you give that slow, steady depression of the trigger until it breaks. Your goal is to have nothing move on that gun. You just hear a click and that's it. Sounds simple, and it is simple, but it's very difficult. It takes a lifetime of training and retraining to stay on top of that. Again, stage 1, no time limit, 5 shots in a row, 25 yards. The fundamentals. If you cannot shoot good slow, you are not going to shoot good fast. If you can't hit that target at 25 yards with no time limit, very little stress, you think your skills are going to get better or worse when you're being shot at or have been shot or people are screaming or you're any number of other things, right, that happen in real life. You have to have a firm foundation. Your fundamentals will degrade, but if you start with crap fundamentals, they're only going to get worse. I realize that may upset some of you, but I'm not here to make friends. Again, this is not a Me Too participation trophy course of fire. The next stage and every other stage will be done at 6 feet. You should be standing behind the 6 foot line. You measure from the target, 6 feet. This was not chosen at random. It was chosen for a couple of reasons. A big one is that's about double arms distance. That's about, in this culture, American Western culture society, that's about the distance. If somebody's coming up to you, you could say, hey, hold on, and it wouldn't be awkward, right? You wouldn't tell somebody that's walking up to you 50 yards away, hey, stop right there. You know, you're probably going to wait, and we're usually comfortable with people at about that distance. You're at like a party or something, obviously it's going to be closer, but I'm talking about like at a gas station, you know, someone come up to you in a dark parking lot somewhere. That's about the time you'd be like, hey, hold on. 6 feet. This is also a distance that I would feel comfortable doing my normal shooting techniques at. Now, you should be versed in CQB and all kinds of other extreme close quarters techniques with knives and handguns and hand-to-hand and grappling, but this is the basics. And at that distance, I'd feel comfortable doing my normal, not CQB, not shooting from attention. And that's another reason I chose this distance. Also a good balance of speed and accuracy here. Stage 2. On the buzzer, draw and hit the paper plate. Draw, fire one shot. 5 times. Draw, fire one, draw, fire one, draw, fire one. You get it. 5 times. 5 hits in a row. Your time is 1.5 seconds. Your time with concealment is 2 seconds. Now, you would say, why not run it all the time with concealment? Because you're usually concealed carrying, but not everybody. Some people listening to this might actually be open carrying. They might be employed as a professional gunfighter. They might be any manner of things. If you're concealed carrying, I would say make it 2 seconds because it's going to be slower with the garment. Initially had it 1.5 period, but I got some pushback and okay, so we'll do 2 seconds with concealment. There's that old adage, right, that gunfights are 3 seconds. Now that's obviously not true across the board, but gunfights a lot of times happen quick and dirty and fast. If it takes you a super long time to get your gun out and in action, what are you doing? Are you just carrying a gun to have a gun to make you feel good? Or are you actually effective? Are you actually able to get that gun out and get hits on target quickly? For some of you, this may be an eye-opener for your carry setup. Right? If you're carrying an LCP in your back pocket, you're going to have some trouble. Right? That's reality. The guy that's trying to kill you is not going to be like, oh, you just wanted to carry your LCP today? Hold on. I'll count to 4. I'll count to 4 Mississippi and give you a handicap because you felt like carrying that sub-optimal gun today. Draw. Hit paper plate in 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds from concealment. And I put those both in there because you should practice drawing from concealment, but if you want to keep track of this, if you're serious about this and you want to do this, over a course of time, I also actually commandeered my wife's talent to make a spreadsheet for you guys to keep track. And that may vary quite a bit from whatever garment you're wearing. If you do it without concealment, it should be pretty consistent across the board. You can track your progress. Draw. Hit paper plate 5 times in a row. 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds from concealment. This is a carry fundamental skill. This is an armed citizen fundamental skill. You need the fundamentals. You need stand script, sight alignment, sight picture, trigger control, all that to hit those paper plates. Or that paper plate, rather, at 25 yards. You need good fundamentals. It's not crazy hard to do if you have good fundamentals. You got a firm foundation. But this stage is how you get that into action quickly. You need to be able to get hits on target quickly. You need to balance that speed and accuracy. For this stage and the rest of the stages, here's the rule. If you go over time, that one does not count. That rep does not count. So if you draw and fire and it's 1.75 seconds without concealment, you're over your time. That one does not count. If you miss, you start over. If you're on 4 and you miss, you got to start all the way back. 5 in a row in that time limit. Next stage. Here's where we start getting some realistic, more practical things. Right now that you have your draws down, right, and you're not completely cold, and I'd encourage you to run this course of fire cold, because that's a better metric of how good you actually are if something pops off, because you're probably not getting into a gunfight. I mean, I don't know, but probably not getting into a gunfight on the range, like right after you've run your warm-up sets. So cold is probably a good metric. But now you're a little bit warmed up because you've done your marksmanship fundamentals, you've done your draw. Now let's get some practical drills in there. Real, down-to-earth, practical. The next stage. While moving to the right, draw and get 2 hits on the paper plate. While moving to the right, draw 2 hits on the plate. Movement is good, right? If you're getting shot at, movement is good. Moving to cover, moving to peek around cover. Now, if you have a little bit more infrastructure, you could get fancy on this. If you have a couple of target stands, you could be shooting at the one target stand with the 9-inch circle. You have one target right in front of you that you have to step to the right or step to the left. That's fine, but not everybody has that. Draw while moving right, 2 hits on the plate. 2 seconds or 2.2 with concealment. You should be able to draw your gun and engage while moving. This is kind of, a carry fundamental skill. You should also be able to get multiple hits on target. This is 2 hits. Right after that, same stage, I bet you can guess. While moving left, draw 2 hits. 2 seconds or 2.2 with concealment. Again, if you're over time, okay. Run it again, run the right or the left again. If you miss, you do the whole stage over. Moving to the right, getting hits on target. Moving to the left, getting multiple hits on target.
Getting accurate, fast hits on target repeatedly while moving. I shouldn't have to explain why that's practical, tactical training.
The next stage. Draw with your dominant hand. For most of us, that's our right hand. I even started out writing it right hand only, left hand only, but there's plenty of left-handed people. So draw with your dominant hand, whatever your dominant hand is. Probably your right hand, but if you're left-handed, switch it. You draw, dominant hand only. 2 hits on the plate. Transition to your non-dominant hand, your other hand. 2 hits on the plate. So you draw, for a right-handed person, draw, 2 hits, right hand only. Switch, left hand, 2 hits, left hand only. In 5 seconds. I initially had more. I got some pushback on that. I didn't take it out completely, but I shortened it. Also being fairly generous on the time on the stage, I think 5 seconds. Got some pushback on the stage, but I'm gonna say it's a carry fundamental, one-handed shooting. Of the armed encounters I've been a party to, and it's not like thousands, right? I'm talking about like personally been involved in. One of them, one of our guys was shot in the arm, right? I want to say through the bicep, but it may have actually been like between the bicep and the bone. And I wish it was in Iraq. So I'm trying to remember if it was his right or left hand. I honestly can't remember. It was very close distance. He was shot with a handgun, 9mm, in the arm. That's one of the few advantages to a handgun over a long gun, is it's fairly easy to operate one-handed. What if you're injured in that one hand, right? We're talking about gunfighting, guys. Again, this is not a Me Too, make me feel good, give me a participation trophy course of fire. What if you're actually shot or stabbed in the arm? Right? This is real stuff. This is real.
If you have a flashlight in one hand, or searching at night with the flashlight and need it to ID a threat, then you're probably going to be shooting with one hand. Also, if you've ever done any amount of Sims training, and I've heard this other places too, a lot of times people will shoot at the gun. Well, guess what's holding the gun? Your hands. If you get shot with a sim round in the hand, it really, really hurts. You can probably still use both hands. You get shot with an actual gun in the hand, you're probably not using that hand. I know that's pretty grisly, but this is real stuff. We're playing for keeps here. Train like you mean it.
You should be able to shoot right-handed or left-handed. We're talking 6 feet on a plate. What I would consider a fairly liberal time limit. You should be able to draw and transition your handgun and get hits with either hand. You're talking 2 shots with each hand. What if you're on the phone and you've got a bad guy, right? You're going to have your phone in your other hand. What if you're carrying a child? If you're dragging your buddy to safety? Or again, what if you're injured? I think this is a real fundamental skill. The next and final stage. Low ready with an empty chamber. So for this one, you're going to unload your gun. Empty chamber. This is simulating a type 1 malfunction, a failure to fire. Simulating a failure to fire. This is pretty common. Pretty common that your gun just has a malfunction, especially a carry gun. If your carry ammo is old or your gun that you've been carrying gets really dirty. Or, we're all human, you just forget to put one in the chamber. So you're going to set up a failure to fire. If you want to, you can put in a piece of empty brass or a snap cap, but you can just unload the gun, keep a loaded magazine, put the slide forward on an empty chamber, insert the magazine. Now you have what we would call in the military like condition 3, but I don't even know if that applies because that usually involves a hammer, but empty chamber, loaded magazine. You're going to start out at the low ready with an empty chamber. At the sound of the beep, you're going to attempt to engage the target. You're going to bring the gun up to the target, actually so you would likely hit it, but the gun's going to go click instead of bang. Oh, not good. Right? And definitely something you don't want in a real world armed encounter. But it happens. Malfunctions happen. You get that click, you need to fix that malfunction. You need to fix it quickly, not like look at your gun, like hold it up to your face and be like, I wonder what's going on here. Immediate action. And for this to count, I want you to do at least these things. Hit the bottom of the magazine and rack the slide. Common cause of malfunction is the magazine is not seated all the way. If you just go and rack the slide, that magazine may fall completely out. Or you may get the same thing again. Hit the bottom of the magazine, rack the slide, and re-engage. So from the low ready, attempt to engage. You're going to get a failure to fire if you set it up right. You're going to fix the malfunction and hit the plate. 3 seconds. That's a pretty liberal time limit, I think. I want you to be able to fix the malfunction under stress and quickly. So if you can fix a malfunction, but you got to set the gun down on the table and look at it and do a bunch of stuff, right? That's not really relevant in a gunfight. You need to hear that click and be able to fix it. Also, if you do this course of fire often, get that automaticity, right? When you hear that click, you'll know, oh, tap, rack, bang. Just be ingrained. You won't even have to think about it. Even if it happens on another course of fire, if you do this enough, you'll just do it. You're doing another course of fire and you have an actual failure to fire. Bad primer, your firing pin channel's getting gunked up, whatever it is. You just tap, rack, bang without even thinking about it. And this stage will help you do that. Also, a lot of the other stages were from the draw, which I think is really important for concealed carry for obvious reasons. But a ready position, being able to shoot from a low ready, is important. Probably you're going to draw and present to target, but there may be situations where you're at a ready position. You want your gun out, but you're not really sure if you should be pointing it at something. And then in which case a ready position is prudent. That is it. 19 rounds if you don't mess up, if you run it clean. Should be able to get two sessions in with 1 box of ammo. Here's my advice. If you don't complete it in 1 box of ammo, 50 rounds, don't just keep throwing ammo and money at a problem. Go home and dry fire, or dry fire at the range. But don't just keep wasting ammo. Dry fire. Dry fire is like self-diagnostics, like figuring out. If there's a stage you're struggling with, like the one-handed shooting, then dry fire it. Dry fire it several times. Maybe dry fire it for several days and then go back and try it again. Dry fire works, guys. Dry fire.
Now you could run it as a course of fire as training, in which case I'm going to say, honestly, if you don't get it done in a box of ammo, go dry fire. You're probably just going to get more frustrated if you keep throwing rounds and money at it. If you want to treat it as a qual for you, for your church, run it clean. And shoot inside the mission parameters given. And if you're not there yet, work up to it. Not for me, it's for you. I did this for you.
Okay, a couple of things. There's a lot more that I would like to do and put on. Again, this is like the basics. If enough of you actually do this and I get feedback that you want more, like not just I want more, but I'm actually trying this one and I've passed this one and I'm consistently passing it, I want more, I will make more. If I get what I would consider a substantial amount of feedback from people actually doing this. I put a lot of work into this, guys. Put a lot of thought into this. I went to the range several days and ran these drills and tweaked it a little bit and got what I thought was a good final thing. A final course of fire for a good, practical, armed citizen course of fire. There are some things I would have put on here, but logistics. Right? I would love to have you turn around and get hits on target. Many ranges will not allow that. I would love to have multiple targets. Target transitions, I would say, are pretty much a fundamental. However, many ranges, if you're not talking about out west on BLM land, or you have your own bay, many ranges, especially indoor ranges, are not going to have the ability to engage multiple targets at a substantial angle, like 45 degrees or more. Even most police quals, most of them, not all of them, but most of them that I've run are on one single target. Target transitions, I think, are important, but they're logistically hard. So it was left off. Also a Mozambique drill. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. I know not everybody is going to have target stands with silhouette targets, a B-27 or an F.B.I. or a Viking Tactics target, right? All those, any of those. Not everybody's going to have those target stands and everything. Probably you have a big ammo can or a range bag. You can shove some paper plates in there. Or whatever range you go to, if they have the little backers, you can tape or staple up a paper plate. And it's consistent. You can do it. You can track your progress week after week. When I measured a standard size paper plate that I had, it was about 9 inches. It's a little bit bigger than my general go-to target. But again, a paper plate. It's low barrier to entry. If you have a silhouette target and you want to add a Mozambique drill, but worry about these first. This is a good course of fire. Again, there's other stuff that a lot of ranges. Now, if you have a range that won't let you shoot faster than 1 round a second, you're going to have to find another range because that's just... But a lot of ranges, you can run this course of fire, even an indoor range, hopefully. I think it's a good, practical course of fire. Again, I didn't just randomly pick stuff, right, of all the years and decades of shooting experience in military, law enforcement, private contracting, commander of a tactical team to stop active shooters. specialized law enforcement assignments,
violent and or armed encounters I've been a part of, also
gunfights that I've studied and am aware of, things that actually happen. I think this is a good, practical, and realistic, and challenging for most people, course of fire. 25 yards, 5 in a row. On the plate. You got to have the fundamentals in order to build on the fundamentals. Next, draw. 6 feet, 5 in a row. 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds with concealment. While moving right, draw, 2 hits on the plate. 2 seconds, 2.2 with concealment. Moving left, draw, 2 hits on the plate. 2 seconds, 2.2 with concealment. Draw, dominant hand only, 2 hits. Transition, non-dominant hand, 2 hits. 5 seconds. Next, with an empty chamber, low ready. Attempt to engage target, fix malfunction, 1 hit. In 3 seconds. Again, for those stages, if you're over time, just that rep doesn't count. If you miss, you got to start that stage over. Now, I put a lot of work into this, guys, and I know that there will be some people that are just like, that sounds cool, and they'll never attempt it. They'll make excuses why it's whatever. But if you're serious, you're not just in this to buy cool stuff on Amazon. You're not just carrying a gun to feel cool. You want to be effective. You want practical, realistic, attainable training. Low barrier to entry, high effectiveness. This is a course of fire. This is training that you can do. And I hope that you will. Now, I tested it out. I can fit the entire course of fire in the show notes. You can scroll down, copy and paste this, go do it yourself, paste it in a Word document or whatever, and print it out. Let's just say I want this to be open source, right? Feel free to share it. Also, there's a Patreon link right above it in the show notes. You can sign up to be a patron for $1. If you enjoy this content, right? If you enjoy it, you want to help it, want to promote it, it's $1. You can sign up for $1. And then you can unsubscribe. Give $1. But I think you'll get far more value than $1 right off the bat. If you want this course of fire, you can get, there'll be a post for patrons. In fact, the patrons already have all this. There's a printable PDF with the entire course of fire. There's also a really good spreadsheet with the course of fire and your time and the number of attempts, so that you can do this and run this and keep track of it. A really good spreadsheet. The course of fire printed out with the notes. Right, that alone should be worth $1. Also on that post, there'll be videos of me running. If you want to see, well, let's see this guy run it. Well, I ran it once. It was slightly different initially, but I ran it just never having run it before. See, I've done all these things before, but never consecutively. I ran it cold. You'll get to see that. And then when I went back and tweaked some things, and I ran it again, and I ran it what I would call Melito speed. Not trying to burn it down, but going at a decent speed to get good hits. I even did some camera work where you like zoom in and see the hits on the target. You can see me running it at what I would call Melito speed. You get 2 videos. You get the spreadsheet to write down and track your progress, and you get the PDF. Again, you can sign up on Patreon for $1. You can give more if you want. That'd be great. I would appreciate it. Ammo costs money, right? Gas costs money. You can get, that's just one of the patron posts. Patrons get a lot of specialty insider content. Anyway, there's a Patreon link right there in the show notes, right above this, if you want to click it and sign up on Patreon. I'd be humbled and blessed. And if you don't want to, again, the Course of Fire is in the show notes. You can copy and paste it and print it out yourself. This whole Course of Fire is kind of a tactical tip made for you guys to get you guys realistic training, low barrier to entry, high effectiveness. But I will give you a tactical verse of the day, and it's a classic, and it's good. Psalm 144. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. Get out there and use the talents God's given you so you get more of them, get better, and have a blessed day.